Everybody, I'd like to call this meeting of the Summerland District Council to order. Okay, Council, adoption of the minutes of April 11th, please. Someone bring that recommendation forward. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Seconder, again, Councillor Peak. Any changes or amendments that anybody picked up? Hearing none. All in favor? Thank you, it's carried. Moving forward to 2.2, adoption of the April 14th, 2016 Committee of the Whole minutes. I'd like to bring that forward, please. Councillor Holmes, Councillor Carlson, thank you. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, Corporate Officer, do we have any amendments to the agenda for tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, just want to note that since the time of the original circulation of the agenda, we initially had item 5.3 as a delegation from MNP to present the 2015 financial statements. That item has now been moved to new business under item 13.1, and a revised financial statement has been attached.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Just dashing back here. Okay, Council, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please? Councillor Carlson, Councillor Peak, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, public and statutory hearings. We're moving ahead to 4.1.
Yep.
Okay, just going to outline the public hearing process. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. During this public hearing, anyone who believes that his or her interest is affected by the proposed development will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaws that are the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the subject bylaws have been made available to the public. Council may ask questions of staff in public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place when the bylaw is considered after the conclusion of the public hearing. At that time, any questions of staff will be for clarification only. I will be inviting the public to come forward and present their comments. Speakers are asked to state their name and address for the record. Speakers are encouraged to limit their remarks, please, to 5 minutes and should include all of the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded for all persons to speak a second or third time once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. I would now like to ask the Director of Development Services to introduce the first item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item up for public hearing today is the official community plan amendment to add the property at 17013 Sanborn Street to the Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan and amend the designation from open land to rural residential. And the red area is the land currently subject to the Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan, and the yellow area immediately adjacent is the subject of the public hearing.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite any members of the public that are affected to come forward, please. For a second time, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak to this issue? For a third time, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak to this issue? Hearing none, I guess I will declare the public hearing.
Pardon me, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to note that I have received no correspondence on the matter as well.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we declare it.
Yeah, you can just declare it.
I'd like to declare the public hearing closed, please, and proceed with our agenda.
Yes.
Have to bear with me, we're getting used to a new approach on our computers. Okay, we're moving into delegations.
Yes.
Sergeant Aqua, please. Summerland RCMP quarterly report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I think you were all provided a copy of which would be the first quarter of the year, but really the last for us with the RCMP. As part of our priorities, our policing priorities for Summerland, there's 4 that are discussed with Mayor and community. There's contributing to safe road, traffic, police, community relation, safer youth, and vulnerable people. Some of those are also dictated by our division and national priorities. And specifically the vulnerable people, number 4, is a regional priority and a division priority for the province. And then most of the stats are affected or kept, report prepared by the regional office in Vancouver. Crime stat-wise, for the period of January through March, we took a nice dive for us. It went down, specifically in regards to property crime, break-ins, theft of vehicles, theft of vehicles, other theft, mischief, all these types of stats went down substantially. And I think that's a result of the good work of the members in conjunction with the Penticton Property Crime Unit that assisted us with the troubled residents that we had in Summerland. We were able to target that residence. There was also assistance from the town bylaw, and then we're able to either effect some arrest or remove and relocate some of these people. And that basically took care of the problem for us. And that's when we, as I think it was said before, we're a regional detachment concept. We have Penticton, OIC, Superintendent Yuko that came and made a presentation to council in regards to how we're supposed to all work together. And that was a good example of how we identified the residents, and then together with manpower from Penticton, we're able to target this residents and in effect then lowering our crime stats. With regards to our human resources of detachment, we're in good shape right now. Constable Marsh is still on maternity leave. She's due to come back in August. There'll be some switch back and forth. We have one of our members that's taken a leave of absence to go and do some family work in the Yukon. He's going to be greatly missed. But at the same time, we have one of our members that did some farming in some land. He's coming back early to take his place, which is going to be good for us too. We have some retirements coming up in the summer, but we have some people coming in at the same time. So I'm hoping that with all the turnaround that we should be in good shape for summer. With regards to traffic stats, we continue to conduct regular roadblocks. Also with the assistance of our volunteer, our Speed Watch program is in full works and providing us great assistance, specifically in the area of Prairie Valley Road. We get numerous complaints in regards to traffic there and other busy places. During this period, we conducted 6 immediate roadside suspension investigation, which is average. It's pretty good actually for us. South Okanagan Highway Patrol that conducts patrol in our area in the Summerland conducted 8 immediate roadside suspension investigation and 231 contacts in the Summerland boundaries. Police visibility, which I know that it's dear to your hearts in regards to see us on the street and being part of the community. I think I was talking to you just before the meeting started. Constable Lefebvre did some great work. He was by himself this year to teach the DARE program to the middle school kids. And he went through 4 classes all by himself. Usually Constable Marsh assists with that, but she was on mat leave, so that stayed on the shoulders of Jacques. He did fantastic work. And tomorrow, I believe, we have 120 kids graduating. So that's good for us. It's a great program and a good exposure for our young the objective that I had last summer was to show us more on the bikes. And we have 4 bikes at the detachment for bike patrol. And I was really hoping that during the summer months that we'd be able to be on the bikes more often, because every time we were stopped by members of the community who really enjoyed seeing us either on the beach or in the downtown area on the bikes. But due to manpower shortage, training policies, we weren't there as much as I would have liked to be. But I'm hoping that we have somebody in Penticton that does some training, so I'm hoping that we'll have some members trained. And if our manpower is up to par, we'll be able to be more out there in the streets. Contributing to safer youths, that goes along with the DARE program and the fact that our members are assigned each a school, do school visits. That seems to work great. We have great contact with all the schools. I'm also part of the Child Youth Committee. We actually met last week, which is a great committee of school officials, ministry officials, food bank officials to come and get together and discuss potential issues with the community. And then the vulnerable people, again, I stated, that's one of the priorities, but it's really held at the Penticton office. We report to them in regards to mental health issues, which we see more and more, us having to deal with that. And I'm not part of any committee, but I know that there's someone in Penticton that's in charge of that. So that's my report for this board.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions of the Sergeant, please? Councillor Peak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Nice to see you. I was looking at the business break and enters, and I wonder if there was any solutions found for those particular items.
In regards to preventing them?
Yes.
It's always a tough one because we can't be everywhere all the time. So we put a lot of emphasis on trying to get the businesses to help us helping them at the same time. So whenever we go to a break-in at a business, we recommend prevention options, security cameras, alarm system. The issues we have too with alarm systems is sometimes people have alarms, but they don't have any contact people. So we get called to these alarms, and there's nobody, there's no owner identified for us to call to attend. So that's an issue. But again, the best prevention is making your businesses as safe as possible. Non-breakable windows, everything that can deter somebody to be able to get in quick, in and out. These surveillance videos are a great asset to these businesses. And with the media, like the Facebooks, because one of the councillors was talking to me about these sites that are all over Summerland. They're everywhere, I think, in the region. We have business owners that put these things right there. And then we get contact, great people contact and say, well, I know this individual. So the more the businesses can do themselves to secure their property, the better it's going to be.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, would there be an opportunity for a workshop through the chamber, or sponsorship of a workshop through the chamber for that type of thing?
Yeah, and we have a resource at the Penticton Detachment, retired Sergeant Rick Delabert, that's actually in charge of community policing for the region.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's done some of these workshop, or I don't know the fancy word for them, but where he'll come in and discuss. There's a program called SEPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental something, i.e. alarm system, video camera, lighting around the area, all these things. So yeah, he's a resource. If the chamber was to contact me and say, could we organize something, I'd certainly be open to that and bring somebody to come in and talk about it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Just like to mention, so you feel that this summer you'll have manpower be more up to capacity?
Yeah, we have one constable retiring, but we got somebody named. He's coming in from the island, and then I understand the dynamic of putting a house for sale, does hopefully sell, but he comes from, this individual comes from RCMP housing, so he doesn't have a house to sell, so he should be here right in time.
I see.
So we shouldn't have that.
So
That's what
the,
happened last year. We had met people that says, well, their house was gonna sell and it took 7
yeah,
months.
yeah. So the bike program will be more likely to be up and going this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to. Like, right now, I have 3 members trained, me being one of them. So if I can get myself away from in front of the computer and jump on the bike, I'll be very happy.
Yeah. Thank you. Did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, your comment about vulnerable people is well taken. It's something that, and I'm glad you're working with other community groups to try and
Yeah, I
deal
think
with
it's
it.
gonna become a huge issue for not just the police, but everybody,
Yeah.
because really, we're not the service to deal with this.
Yeah, yeah.
We end up being, but I think that there's group getting together for this now, which is nice. All these services, mental health,
Yeah.
hospital, us.
Well, that's the only way is decent cooperative effort. yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Anybody else? Councillor Trainer?
I'm just wondering, for my own information, how far out do you guys, or where's your boundary in terms of dealing with Falder, that area? Is it the Summerland municipality boundary?
Yes,
Okay.
so we don't actually police Falder at all.
Okay, who does?
Penticton,
So if there's an incident out there, Penticton comes?
which is an interesting concept, yeah, they have to go through Summerland to get to Falder.
Flying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will respond. We usually, for instance, the quad incident,
Yeah.
we were first on scene. So whenever there's an emergency, if it's an emergency, we will attend. Same thing with us. If there's an emergency in Summerland and there's only one member working, they will come and assist us. So if there's an emergency in Falder or wherever outside the area, we will attend, and then they'll come over and take over the investigation if there's follow-up, which is what happened in regards to the audits.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Would somebody like to bring the motion forward, please? Councillor Markle?
That the council pass the following resolution, that the first quarter report for 2016 presented by Sergeant Stéphane Lacroix of the Summerland RCMP detachment be received for information.
Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sergeant Juan. Pleasure. Okay, now 5.2. Ms. Lansdale. Welcome.
Is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay, because everybody sounds so quiet, I think I'm going deaf. I had difficulty hearing
Oh.
some of you. You were very quiet.
That's just part of my nature.
Anyhow, I'm delighted to be here, and as you know, I did paintings of the historical barns in Summerland for the Summerland Centennial, because I thought they were going to be gone, and 2 of them have gone already. And the sod roof cabin down in Trout Creek, it was a delightful building, and a lot of the people who've grown up here in Summerland are aware of it, but a lot of the new people in town aren't aware of what it is, and it's hard to see now when you go by because it's disintegrating. And I don't know what happened to the goose, because there was a goose that used to come every year and sit on the roof, on the sod roof, and lay an egg, and at least this is what I was told. And the sod roof is looking very forlorn now. It looks not in too good shape. So anyhow, I thought that now that they're looking at it as a project for historical purposes, that it would be nice if the citizens of Summerland knew where it was and what it looked like. And because I had done a painting of it, and the original in pastel was sold, I had a print made, and I thought I'd like to donate it to the council so that it could be used maybe in the lobby for people to see it when they're coming in and be more aware, oh, is that what it is and where it is. And I had a little plaque that can be stuck on the wall and not take the paint off. You just use your stickies on it. But what I wrote on this was the sod cabin of 1890 was This sod roof cabin is located in Trout Creek, east of the Iliad Beach campsite. It was built around 1890 by either pioneer Thomas Ellis or Mr. Black. Do you know what the large wharf is? Do you remember the wharf that's still sticking out there by the campsite?
Yes.
Sticking out there? Well, the large wharf whose pilings can still be seen in the water was built by and known as the Black Wharf. So Mr. Black, we figured, probably built it. So it's debatable as to which pioneer built the cabin. Several families have lived in this cabin while building a house in Summerland for permanent use. The interior was finished beautifully with many paintings of well-known artists hanging on the walls. Many happy parties and activities occurred in this wonderful cabin in the early days. And by looking at it from the outside, you wouldn't realize how beautifully it was done on the inside. And I was told by Dr. Evans, who grew up there when his parents first came here. He started his early life there. There was a grand piano in there as well. So
Really?
you see, you had it's a really historical kind of thing. So what I've done is I brought the painting for you, and I also have small cards of the barn for each of the counselors.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's here. This is the, I'd like to present this to you. Okay? And that's the barn, and I have the Giant's Head Mountain here and the clay cliffs here, so that it's all part of Summerland. I turned the sod roof around so I could get a view of the mountain and the cliffs. But it does show you what it was like. And it was such a pretty thing, and I just hope we can take it back to restoration that way. And this is just a little plaque that can go with it. I even put the sticky things in the back so we can put them on
Smart
on
woman.
the wall. And I've got something for each of you. This is a card, and I have these cards made up of all the barns of Summerland. That's just a commercial. Yeah, well, I've got extra ones. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a little bit of a history written on the back, so people, when they come through and buy the cards, in the fruit stands and that, it shows them a little bit about,
Oh, no, she's very more. Thank you.
She came prepared.
did I miss anybody?
No, you didn't.
Okay, and then the other thing I did,
What is it?
yeah, these are just the other barns. I just got a copy of each that you could have, you know, it's the Landry barn, and it talks about the Landry barn, and it no longer is there. And then there's the Ribbon barn, which you see on, Dale Meadows. And it's starting to sink too, because a few trucks and cars have gone into the rocks, and so it's not too good repair. And then there's the wonderful Gartrell barn that was taken down last year. And I'm so glad that I was able to do it before it went away. And then the other barn that's still there is the Arthur Day barn, and that was built the same time that the Gartrell barn was built. And it's still there, and that's the KDR railway behind it. And it tells you where it is too in the back. So I just thought these other ones, the cards of the paintings that I have the originals of these, I'd like to give to you.
Thank you very much.
In memory of what's happening around us.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
That's
I'd like
wonderful.
to, There's a little bit more to Doc Evans. He was actually born in that cabin.
Was he born there? Well, I wondered about that because I thought he had said that his parents had brought him over, but he was born there.
He was born
No,
there.
he's still here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Put it over there. Well, that's great, Ms. Lansdale. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to number 6, public opportunity comment. So anybody from the audience who wishes to make a comment on any of the highlighted items in our agenda is free to do so now. So come forward, please. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm Diane Reese, 12568 Taylor Place.
Yes.
And I'm here to talk about the old Blue Line Trail. And I've noticed from this meeting that you're going to do an alternate route around Taylor, so that the route on Taylor Place doesn't go through all the houses, right?
Yes.
The Blue Line. There's 13 houses there that the Blue Line goes through their backyard. And I've been there 24 years now, and in the last few years, I've noticing that there's slippage from the rock. And I'm wondering if it appears that you've decided to reroute this trail, which is okay. But I'm wondering if there's any money put aside for the damages that have been done from motorcycles, people on horseback, dogs running all over the mountain unleashed, and hikers that are crossed on this trail. It's some rocks are coming down on houses, right, and it needs to be fixed. I'm wondering, I don't think you can, like, people have been putting up signs saying private property for years, and all the people do is come by and kick them over. And I don't think that this is going to solve the problem. And I'm wondering what's going to happen if you put up the barriers and reroute the trail, spend all that money, $6,000, to reroute that trail a quarter of a mile, and people still keep coming through.
I hear you, and we'll be discussing it when we get to the item, so thank you very much for bringing that up and adding to the discussion.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Yep, no, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to any issue? Yes, sir.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I was informed that I was able to comment on the decision made this morning of withdrawing irrigation service to make.
So just for the record, Mr. Leahy, it's Mr. John Leahy.
Oh, sure,
Your
I've
address?
got a bit more to go yet.
Okay, no, I was
I'm
just
just
going to
asking
say,
a question.
if you'd just like to introduce yourself,
My
that's all.
name's John Leahy. My wife and I own the Summerland Hotel in Clark Creek.
Thank you.
Okay. In 2014, the district sent out some forms to update their database regarding eligibility to have a secondary irrigation supply. At that time, we complied. In August 2015, the district embarked on a similar exercise, although this time it was by telephone. And again, it was affirmed that we were entitled to have a secondary irrigation system as we met the criteria due to lot size, and obviously we paid our bills. Some 2 months later, either by accident or design, as part of the sewer works on Willow Avenue, our irrigation connection was removed by the district, an action they admit was an error. This was not discovered until the week commencing April 7th, when the man from the district turned up to turn on our irrigation to find there was no water. Now, I think it reasonable that having taken away our water connection by mistake, the district would simply replace it as soon as possible, especially as we were experiencing some of the hottest April days on record. And after numerous meetings with the Director of Public Works, we were kept hanging on a string for over 2 weeks, until you all got together to have your in-camera meeting this morning, when you tried to regularize your mistake by moving goalposts. Now, there are 2 issues that come out of this. Firstly, what you have done, and secondly, how you went about it. I can take the second one first. In deciding on changing the criteria for eligibility for irrigation supply and secret meeting, you effectively denied the taxpayer his right of response. The proper method would have been to float whatever new proposals you're coming up with at a public meeting, where interested parties can have their say. So what you've done is patently unfair and simply stifles public debate on what is a very contentious issue. So what did you do? Well, you effectively taken specific aid at a specific group within the business community. And I was told by His Worship this morning that that was all in the interest of fairness. Well, I'm nothing if I'm not fair-minded. And with this renewed emphasis on doing things fairly, I would like again to bring to the Council's attention the fact that if you take the whole of the accommodation sector in this town, there are only 3 businesses who are paying business property taxes. That's the Summerland Motel, the Rosedale Motel, and the Pleasant View Motel. All other bed and breakfasts, all summer renters of private houses, and even the resort due to its fractional ownership structure, all pay property taxes at residential rates. So how is this fair? Indeed, as things stand at present, the bed and breakfast in a 1.5 acre lot pays residential property taxes and is entitled to an irrigation supply under the present rules. A double rate fairness. So much for the level playing field. I would also point out, water is just as important to the success of accommodators as it is to those growing fruit or flowers. They grow apples, we grow tourists. So how can it be fair that agriculture gets unmetered water and accommodators apparently now have to pay for every drop? Rather than rush to judgment, because I have no idea what you discussed this morning, other than what I've been told, I would request a variance to your ruling this morning until you come up with a comprehensive policy which has been subject to the full public scrutiny regarding who is entitled to irrigation water and who is not. There can be no doubt that your in-camera meeting this morning stating that motels were no longer eligible to have irrigation water was discriminatory in nature, as it was aimed squarely at the Summerland Motel, who were the only people who had it, as the ruling has no effect on the other two motels in town, as they didn't ever qualify under the old 1.5 acre. That's all I have to say, and I would be very pleased that you would relook at what you did this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. CAO?
Just a note that Mr. Vathy does have the opportunity to appeal the decision to council at a meeting. That was general direction to staff this morning, was just general direction to us on what to inform you, and so we can discuss it further, and then it would come to another council meeting for an appeal.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to come to the lectern? Seeing none, okay, we'll move further on to the mayor's report, item 7. The second set of business walks with the chamber and members of council occurred on April 14th. I was paired up with the new chamber president, Eric Thompson. It was very successful. Notes and comments will be on the chamber website. This collaborative effort by the chamber and council will result in a renewed capacity for the council and the chamber to respond to business needs and enable us to work together more effectively. Over the last several months, council and staff have had a number of budget meetings and discussions. As you will see tonight, we are now getting close to the end of the process as we present the grant and aid requests and bring the financial plan bylaw forward for first, second, and third reading. As I and several members of council were at the SILGA meetings in Kelowna, that's the Southern Interior Local Government Association meetings, I was only able to attend one of the 13 different Earth Week events. It was the Philosopher's Cafe presentation of the Silks Water Perspectives by Dr. Jeanette Armstrong and Dr. Marlo Sam. And if it was any indication of the quality of presentations that occurred through Earth Week, the whole week would have been was a resounding success. Their presentation illustrated how water weaves its way through every aspect of our existence, through us, the plants, soil, and animals, and respect for its role in our lives needs to be fully understood. And I'd like to congratulate all the organizers and volunteers who put so much work into this rewarding week for Summerland. Several of council attended the SILGA meetings in Kelowna. The theme this year was Water Connecting Us All. So it was appropriate that Dr. Armstrong and Dr. Sam gave their presentation to us. It was an opportunity to advance a number of resolutions to the Union of British Columbia Municipalities this fall, as well as to establish connections with other councillors and mayors. I had the good fortune to spend some quality time with Minister Fassbender, who is Minister of Community, Sport and Culture, to advance our thoughts on aspects of concern to Summerland. One of these in particular was regarding our application for a Building Canada Fund grant to assist us in our need to do a $3 million upgrade to our sewage plant for the filtration beds and grit removal equipment. This will give us the much needed redundancy for our plant for maintenance purposes and to always be able to meet the interior health requirements. And finally, I'd like to remind everyone that Thursday, April the 28th, is the National Day of Mourning, a day set aside to remember those who have been injured, lost their lives, or suffered illness due to work-related incidents or hazards. Thank you, and that's my report. CAO.
Thank you. I also was going to just remind council that we are just finalizing the grant application for the wastewater treatment plant, grit removal, and effluent filter upgrades. Submissions like this are in-depth and very comprehensive. So we've been reviewing a number of renditions, and I believe it'll likely go in tomorrow, so for the 28th deadline. Tonight on the agenda, of course, we're looking at the financial plan bylaw, and I just wanted to say there's been some questions recently raised to me about tax rates, specifically tax rates, residential tax rates versus commercial tax rates. And that discussion and presentation will come at our next council meeting as we work on doing the tax rate bylaw. We review if our policy is the same that council wants. Once the financial plan bylaw is done, then we have our firm numbers and we can actually look at different scenarios. So that'll come at the next meeting. And then lastly, on my short report this week, at the end of last week, the Director of Engineering, Manager of Utilities, and I met with Alex Love, who's the General Manager of Nelson Hydro. And we had the opportunity to spend most of the day with him. We talked about opportunities to optimize Summerland electrical utility, different ideas for alternative energy and ideas. He had the opportunity to spend a couple of hours looking at our Summerland's Jai Zachary's electromotion plant and look at ways that that may be able to be utilized in Summerland, and he'll be doing a final report for us. He's always also encouraged two of us to attend the Northwest Public Power Utility Conference, which is in Seattle. But unlike British Columbia, in Washington and Oregon and some in California, there's numerous small electrical utilities like ours. There's only 5 in British Columbia, but in Washington and Oregon, there's a number of them, and they're all looking at the same things that municipalities like we are looking at, ways to optimize, looking at alternative energy sources, solar, etc. So we will be attending that. They're giving us, they're encouraging our attendance, so they're waiving our registration fees. So,
Cool.
So that is my report for tonight.
Thank you very much. So moving on to unfinished business. Officer, we've got 9.1. This is resolution brought forward from the April 11th, 2016 meeting, Committee of the Whole. We have a recommendation there regarding grants and aid. CO, you just deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, corporate, she can.
Okay,
just
go.
Yeah, you can just move the motion as
Okay.
presented if you like.
Okay, I'd like someone to step forward and bring that motion as presented forward, please. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to move that council pass the recommendation from the April 14th, 2016 Committee of the Whole meeting regarding the 2016 grants and aid as listed in the.
Thank you. Very good. Seconder, please. Councillor Peak, thank you. So are there any questions, discussion?
Do we want to deal with this suggestion about a new category for grant funding in a separate resolution, or?
That was the recommendation
Okay.
from the Committee of the Whole, so
Yeah.
unless somebody moved
Okay.
a different recommendation, that is what's coming forward from
Right.
Committee of the Whole.
So as listed, plus the ongoing, the new category of grant funding.
Thank you. Got a seconder, right? Okay. Any further discussion at all? Councillor Carlson?
Just to clarify, for the new category of funding, it will then mean that the groups within that category won't have to apply for grant and aid every year. They'll become part of the budget, correct?
That's right, and likely we'll have a presentation by them, and council will still look at the level of funding, but they won't be submitting the grant and aid application.
So this year they get grant and aid as well as some notification of the change.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Peak?
Yes, I think that the change to a new category of funding will be, allow some sustainability and some assurity for these centers of operation within our community that are well-established and do contribute in ways to our community that we would probably take on in some fashion or other if they weren't existing. So I think this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, I think to add to Councillor Peak's comments, these are groups that have repeatedly sought and achieved grant and aid, and so it's something, as Councillor Peak just mentioned, they're more of a sort of a staple in the community, and so it was felt that they now will move to be more of a line item in the budget, and we will be considering their presentations, but essentially they are have been sort of more consistently being given grant and aid, so it's now moving forward to be a line item in the budget. So with that, all in favor? Thank you. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. 9.2, the Old Flume Trail. So get okay.
Good evening, Council. The report in front of you is to give the details to provide potential development of an alternative trail above Taylor Place to maintain the trail on district property. As brought at a previous council discussion, was looking at the area to decide what the best alternative to look at some of the concerns that were brought forth from residents in that area. Schedule A attached to the report shows the proposed alignment that we're looking at. It would be connecting some existing trails on top of the bridge above Taylor Place and down to the existing Flume Trail, keeping that trail within district property to avoid this section of private property where the trail currently runs.
Okay. Seal.
Just to address the issue, the question on, or the concern that the signs have been removed in the past. In the past, there hasn't yet been a trail connecting the trails before. There hasn't been a true alternate route before. We do plan to follow up with the property owners of the 13 properties, especially at the property at the entrance each direction. It is their decision on whether or not they want, each of the properties can either try blockading or allowing, and if indeed they do want to have a blockade or a fence limiting access, we'll be working with them at the time and really encouraging the users to go the other direction. There is no, as we discussed at the original meeting, there is no statutory right-of-ways or easements over those 13 properties, so in order for us to ever do work on those 13 properties and maintain the trail as they were, it would require getting statutory right-of-ways on each property and then doing the mitigation as well.
Okay, Councillor Peak.
If I may, then in fact, this trail that's been used for a long time on the Flume is not actually a trail within our system and in no way recognized.
That's right, and the District of Summerland, especially the Recreation Department, hasn't ever formally acknowledged the trail as a District of Summerland trail. However, it is recognized that it is widely promoted as a trail through the Chamber of Commerce and other trails organizations, just not the district itself. So we feel that this is a good opportunity to maintain access without limiting.
Anybody else? Questions of staff? I guess I have a couple here with regard to the lady's concerns a few minutes ago with respect to rockfall and so on and so forth. When sort of creating a new trail, are you going to be able to sort of make it substantial enough that there won't be sort of rocks kicked away at any way along the trail edge and this sort of thing?
Yeah, so the area that we're looking to establish this new trail is mainly through grassy tree areas, away from the slopes against the backyards of residences where the trail currently runs.
Okay.
So those concerns would be present.
I see. So the other thing is about blockading the old trail. It would have to be substantial enough that people aren't just going to push their way through or vault over or whatever. I suppose people will try to make access if they really want to, but,
Currently, there's no direction to block the.
Okay, I see.
It's to provide alternative access and to put signage
I
at
see.
those at either end to warn them, or to, basically to encourage them to use the trail
I see.
on district property.
And we are hopeful that the new trail will be the preferred route, and therefore will, the trail hasn't been maintained, and it's very narrow, and,
Yeah.
we are hoping that it'll encourage that use.
Okay. Counselor
Yeah.
Trainer? Oh, sorry.
And we have been in touch and been dealing with the local trails organizations, associations, so we do have that support, and hopefully that will help work it through as well.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Trainer?
Do we have the ability to put like a concrete block right where our property butts up against the person at Taylor Place that said, you know, you're entering private property or something like that?
Well, that's what we're going to talk, again, we need to make sure we're involving the property owners, but
Mhm.
those are the kind of options, is making sure that the signage is informative, and whether or not there is a desire to have a concrete block or something that, even if it doesn't stop the walkers, would stop any of the more damaging.
Mhm.
So that'll be at either end?
Potentially, we will look into that once it's being created.
Counselor Trainer?
I think that if there's proper signage and there is a block there, I think most people, like mountain bikers and hikers, and they will abide by those signs as long as there's directional signs to show them where to go. I think that most people will be good about that.
But
As long as it's
I'd
clear.
like to, respond to this lady's concerns that I think what we've heard here tonight is that the staff will work with the residents to make sure things meet your approval in terms of how much we can actually do. So I think that's the kind of measured response, and we'll certainly work with the residents to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to mitigate the difficulty.
The issue will be that we've had a number of conversations, and we won't be able to mitigate the damage that's been done over the years. It hasn't been a district property. There is concerns on there's more looseness in the rocks, but hopefully we can just move forward and not create
Okay.
any more, or have any more created.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Holmes?
Do we have any indication if the trails stop being used by bikes and horses or whatever, that the land will then stabilize and that the damage that's done now will eventually repair itself?
We certainly don't have any knowledge of that. The property owners would need to look at that. In some cases, they've built fences in some of the areas, it's loose rock that's there, and so it's not certain.
Okay, Counselor Peak?
Yes, I'm pleased that we're looking at an alternative. I think the amount of construction and the fact that we have monies available to do it is important. I'm pleased that staff will have the discussions with those homeowners in the area, and I certainly recognize that the geography of our country, our slopes, is something that as homeowners we all have to deal with in whatever means, and that can change over time. Certainly if there's traveling on private lands, that creates a difficulty, but there's oftentimes slope instability regardless of whether there's traveling or not.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for me to say? Okay, would someone like to bring the motion forward, please? Counselor Booth?
Would you like me to read it?
Not necessarily, no, as presented, I think is adequate.
Okay, I move that we bring the recommendation forward as presented.
Seconder, please. Counselor Peak, thank you. So, thank you, Chris, appreciate your work, and I don't think there are any further questions at all?
We have to
No.
vote.
Yeah, is there any further discussion you'd like to have on it? No? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries, none's opposed. Thank you very much, Chris. Director of Public Works. Okay, more official. Okay, 9.3, appointment of approving officer, CAO.
So in the past, I have talked to council a little bit about approving officer and occasionally approving officer required on case-specific basis. In this particular circumstance, we have a subdivision application for Fudge Street, and the current situation suggests that we should have an independent approving officer for this particular file, and I'm requesting that we appoint Peter Muirhead from Muirhead Land Development Solutions to take on the contract for this particular application. He'll work closely with our planning and engineering tech staff.
Okay, thank you. Is this just, what time frame are we looking at for this?
Well,
For any,
it's
whatever
for,
it
it's
takes?
for this particular application.
Yeah,
So
okay.
he would, if council approves this, the application has been submitted, and he would begin work on it tomorrow. We've done a lot of preliminary work, planning staff has, so we're hoping that it can move quite quickly.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Carlson?
Just wondering, I was looking at the report, how do items like this get paid? Who, like where do the funds come from?
Generally out of a contract, we have a category that is for general assistance for contracts, and that it would be considered an independent contractor for short-term contracts.
And will part of that be covered by the application fees? Or not?
I seem to recall, and I might be wrong, Ian might know, I think the application fee on this one was $1,100, so
a portion of it.
A portion of it is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Peak?
I'll bring the motion forward.
Okay, thank you.
That Peter Muirhead of Muirhead Land Development Solutions Limited be contracted by the District of Summerland and appointed as the District of Summerland's approving officer for the purpose of processing and considering the subdivision application dated April 18, 2016 for the property legally described as Lot 1, Plan 43-571 at 7523 Fudge Street in Summerland.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkle, thank you. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none. Didn't get a seconder, did we?
Yeah, you did.
We did, okay. All in favor? Thank you, motion carries. Okay, number 10, correspondence, informational items. We have all our correspondence in there. Is any comments from any councillors? Councillor Holmes.
I'd just like to pull out the Culture Plan Task Force second interim report. I know it's kind of an interim report light. Probably the reality is we weren't quite ready to make an interim report, but we were supposed to do so. So this is why it is what it is, and I like to say that it's always changing because we are in the drafting phase right now. And we're drafting and redrafting, constantly going back to check what the community told us in the public consultation phase, to making sure that we are preparing a plan that represents the community. And so that's why it's very difficult for us right now to put together a proper interim report, because we are constantly redrafting. We want to make sure that, as I said, we're reflecting the values of the community, and we have put some, it says in the report that, we do have some of the values, but again, these are kind of shifting a little bit. Because we want to make sure that when we do have a final report, that it is something that, it is going to be a council plan, and so it has to, we want to be able to have a plan that where we're making decisions based on community values. And so for example, one value that we've come up with is heritage and history of the community. It's kind of a commonly held value that the people hold, and that exists in Summerland, and I think that was a demonstration tonight that Mrs. Lansdale's artwork, that is very much represented in the art of the community, is our heritage and history. So that is one example of a value. But these are the sort of things that we're mulling over, and we'll reach a point where we have a draft of the plan, and I think at that time we'll need to, the task force will need to sit down with council and maybe an accounts committee of the whole meeting or whatever, and really work together to make sure that we that the final plan is something that council is really comfortable with. So that's just kind of a supplement to.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. Councillor Peak?
Yes, if I may also add to that, also working on the cultural task force, that this is a volunteer group, so they're really busy working on this report and the background material and making sure the data plays into the values and the presentation in the written report that comes forward. We also want the opportunity before to actually bring a draft report to our public consultation so that people will have an opportunity to look at that draft report knowing that they still have an opportunity to review it and make changes and massage it, because that is something that the volunteers brought to all the workshops that when we went out to the public. So we feel it's important not just for council, but for those people that were interested and engaged and came out and had those public workshops with us. So we want that opportunity as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have one to bring forward, and that's the 5th letter of correspondence from the Chamber. And this is referring to a letter from Mr. Don Hudson about potentially making the Wharton Street lot that's vacant right now more accessible, so we could have some of the big RVs have the ability to park there while the lot is basically not in use in any commercial sense. Mr. Hudson brought this to me a number of weeks ago, and it was put to the Economic Task Force to consider as they went forward. And he also approached the Chamber of Commerce, and given the time frame and so on, like to move this forward. So I'm presenting this as a notice of motion for our next council meeting. So it'll involve fixing the lot up to some extent. There's some leveling needs to be done and et cetera, but basically it'll be a day parking situation at this time. To go any further than that would be involving a substantial amount of work to make a big change.
So for clarity, what's coming to next meeting, you're asking for a motion on the table, so we'll put a staff report together regarding his comments.
Okay, so we're just tabling that notice of motion? Or?
Well, it's the notice of motion is so that it will come to next.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Aaron.
I was going to bring forward the same thing.
Okay.
I just thought it was a really great idea, especially with all the RVs starting.
Yep.
For the chamber to be able to direct them into the downtown and have a place for them to park, I think is a really great idea.
I think the original concept, though, was far more enhanced than that. The original concept was by Mr. Hudson, which I looked at, was quite comprehensive, involved electrical, et cetera, in terms of enhancing the area for hookups. But most of the aspects of being that comprehensive involved a major, significant project for Public Works to try and put together, and there simply wasn't a time frame to do that. But as an alternative, an interim alternative, I think this is a good one. So we'll look at that in the next council meeting. Did you have a comment,
Yeah.
Councillor Barkwell?
I note that there has always been a sign that says free RV parking at the lot beside the Badminton Hall, and it was never overly, crowded at all. Perhaps that's a function of maybe the awareness. So if we are going to go to the effort of doing something as in addition to that space which isn't fully utilized, then we have to really think about the promotion of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the report will be.
The staff report will be
Yeah.
looking at that, and I think access and egress are very important aspects of that for those. They're very, very large units that could be using it. So thank you. Anything else from correspondence? Okay, I'd like someone to bring the motion forward, please, to receive. Thank you.
Move that the informational items included in the report dated for the April 24th, 2016 regular council meeting from the manager of legislative services be received for information.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Carlson. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries.
May I interrupt
Yes,
for a
of
moment?
course.
We just skipped over it because it's not separated on here. We had one motion to bring forward from the in-camera meeting. Can the manager of legislative affairs just bring that forward now? We just, it wasn't showing on the agenda.
Yeah, I thought there was an actual section on the agenda for it, but there
It's
wasn't.
just a statement.
It's just a statement. There's a resolution from this morning's meeting from the closed session of council. And
Okay,
It
that's
should have
not-
come out at the beginning.
it should have, yeah,
That's not 13.1, it's another one.
it's another one.
Okay.
And the motion that council passed this morning was that staff be directed to inform Mr. Lathy, Elk Electric Limited, owner of the Summerland Motel located at 2107 Tate Street, that the blue box irrigation water line will not be reconnected. And that's just a reporting out. You don't have to move that or second that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, committee number 10.2, committee commission minutes. We've got the APC minutes there. Any comments by council? Seeing none, would someone like to bring that motion forward, please? 10.2. Councilor Carlson, go ahead.
I'll move that the commission minutes included in the report dated for April 25th, 2016, regular council meeting from the manager of legislative services be received for information.
Okay, seconder, please. Councilor Trainer, thank you. Okay, any discussion at all? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you, motion carries. Okay, development services reports, 11.1, development variance permit for 25-200 Callan Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a development variance permit application, and it applies to the subject site, which is a 10-acre agricultural property, excuse me, located at the east side of Callan Road, near the northern boundary of the district. Development variance permit has been received because the maximum allowable height of a retaining wall in a front, rear, or side yard is 1.2 meters or 4 feet in height, unless they're separated by 4 feet in distance. So in this particular case, the proponents have a winery building and they want to put in 2 relatively large retaining walls. One is 10 feet tall approximately, the other is 12 feet tall. So that requires a development variance permit. And the reason for the regulation is more for urban areas where large retaining walls in front yards or side yards can impact severely on neighboring properties. And so the variance process allows neighbors to comment on those kinds of things as to what the impacts might be. In this particular case, the retaining walls are in the center of a very large parcel. They're not particularly visible from anywhere else. And we haven't received any notification or any comments from neighbors, and staff are recommending the variance be issued.
Thank you. Any questions, Director of Development Services, please? Everybody's happy? Okay, would someone like to bring that forward, please? Councilor Carlson.
The council passed the following resolution, that the development variance permit application to vary section 5.5 of the zoning bylaw 2000-450 to increase maximum allowable height of a retaining wall to 3.8 meters for lot 1, DL 2695 ODYD Plan EPP 3536-1, located at 25-200 Callan Road, be approved.
Seconder, please. Councilor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Pretty straightforward. All in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Okay. Staff and other reports, 12.1, Trans-Canada Trail Champions. Who's gonna deal with that? CAO.
This is just a straightforward request from the Trans-Canada Trail Society. They have asked the mayor to participate as a champion of the Trans-Canada Trail. The information is attached in your report, and if and I understand from the mayor that he's in support of his name being used as a champion. Therefore, if council does approve this, then we'll just move it forward.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Peak.
I have to say, I think this would be a great honor, and I think that the celebration for the Trans-Canada Trail in May of 2017 will be a wonderful event. I think it's great if you take that on.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor
Are
Holmes?
you a patriotic Canadian? It says you have to be a patriot.
And if you
Yes,
don't,
he
or
is.
you
Let me
don't.
start with an easier question. Of course, I was born here and bred here, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, someone like to bring that motion forward, please? Councillor Peak.
That the Trans-Canada Trail's invitation to Mayor Waterman to join hundreds of mayors from across Canada to become a national champion of the Trans-Canada Trail be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? I hope you don't think that that's motion is carried, but I hope you don't think that means I'm gonna be, cycling and climbing and packing large packs, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, 12.2, Agricultural Land Commission Appeal, re 18014 Garnet Valley Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council may remember this application. The applicant, Kimberly Burns, made an application for a non-farm use to have commercial weddings on an ALR property at 18014 Garnet Valley Road. The application went to our Agricultural Advisory Committee in December and was unanimously supported by them. The application then came forward to council December the 14th. The application also received unanimous support. The application, in accordance with normal policy, was forwarded off to the Agricultural Land Commission. And after the Land Commission considered the application, they issued a decision on March the 23rd, and the application was denied for a number of reasons. The applicant wishes to appeal the ALC decision, and normally speaking, they will only consider appeals if there's new information brought forward. However, the applicant has requested that council provide a letter in support of her appeal.
Thank you. Okay, questions of the planner? Councillor Barclay.
So is there any new information that can be brought forward to get them to consider the appeal?
There's no new information that I'm aware of.
Anybody else? Councillor Carlson.
I know that there's some discussion at the ALC about changing the way that events such as weddings could happen on farmland. Do you know if those have gone through, and if they would be able to reapply at a later date with a similar notion, or does this kill it completely?
Mr. Mayor, there was a Minister of Agricultural's discussion paper on proposed farm bylaw that came through in November. It was considered or brought forward to the Agricultural Advisory Commission, and one of the issues in that bylaw standard was the issue of commercial weddings on ALR property. And the commission was, or the Minister of Agriculture's position was that they would not be a farm use, they would have to have a non-farm use application. That was discussed at length by our Agricultural Advisory Committee, and they did not support that particular finding in the paper, and we made those comments and forwarded them off to the ministry because they were looking for exactly that kind of comment. I'm not sure if anything has gone through further since those, believe they're still in the process of accumulating all those comments. If the regulation were to change and it became allowable as a farm use, then obviously they wouldn't need to apply, they could just do it. If the regulations are not changed and if it's still not a farm use, then they would have to make another application. And generally speaking, if nothing has changed between those two applications, the adjudication would be the same.
Councillor Carlson.
So I guess to follow up on that, the reason I ask is because if the Burns family had a 2-hectare vineyard out there and they had a nice facility with a winery and an upstairs with a banquet room and washrooms and things, I believe that they probably would have been granted something like this. But I think that the way that it was proposed to build a barn, and along with that barn to build restrooms and facilities to host weddings, they have been denied. And so I think that change might be happening within the ALC. Well, if it happens within the ALC and the regulations for weddings and special events, I guess we should wait and see. But I guess the point is maybe they should, make a vineyard out there and they might have more success.
Councillor Barkwell.
When you read the ALC's decision, reasons for their decision, it's kind of hard to understand because all those reasons would be there for any use at any time, at any place, it's like those reasons would never go away. There's always could be a concern of traffic. There always could be a concern of people wandering to other people's property. So it just, if those are the concerns, would they ever approve any alternative use like this, even if it is a nice vineyard and winery? It's the other point I was going to make, if they do go ahead with the appeal and we don't offer our support, will it be viewed as we no longer support this use? That's kind of my concern. I see our CEO kind of nodding or shaking her head saying that's not a concern.
No, I mean, in the appeal could focus on that council supported the application, so.
Period. At the
That-
beginning.
Yeah, it hasn't changed and the support still remains.
Councillor Peak.
Well, I'm pleased that we supported the application, and I think, I don't see anything further that we can do, that we have said that we support the application. I would be interested in asking staff if they could pursue the timeframes that a report coming back from the ALC regarding their surveys and their intent to look at that issue. I would be interested in knowing that when that might come back from them.
CEO. Director of Service.
Yes, I've just made a note, Mr. Mayor. I will check in with the Ministry of Agriculture and find out where that review process is at with respect to the regulations regarding commercial weddings.
Thank you.
Okay, so where does that leave us, CEO?
Well, the recommendation from staff was that her request be denied. If you want to bring that recommendation forward or a different motion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Well, what's the harm of writing a letter reaffirming our support?
Well,
What's the harm in it?
I think the process has gone through in terms of our APC made their comments. They were unanimous. Our comments went through, and that's the normal process. And these things are forwarded to the ALC for them to make their decision. And we followed those steps, and the ALC rendered their decision. And at this point, I don't think there's much more we can do to sort of redo the process by forwarding another letter. It's essentially, we've already done that in our initial information that went through to the ALC as a unanimous decision of council.
We certainly could provide a letter reiterating that if that was the case. What this goes into a little bit more when it starts talking about that they're saying that the person that's doing the appeal is suggesting that it could be handled by bylaw, and that's what they're actually asking is whether or not we could make that statement that the part of the denial has to do with matters that would be handled by municipal bylaws and rules. But so that's going down a little bit different direction than just saying that you support it. That's almost arguing with them. And so I think, again, there's nothing stopping us from either contacting them or engaging in dialogue to make sure that they understand firmly that we're in support of it, but not going into the arguments that they have with each other in that appeal.
Councillor Traynor.
So just to clarify, like one of the ALC's points is they have noise concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to send a letter that said our bylaw officer would help, alleviate that or enforce it or something like that.
We would just have to make sure. I mean, that's what her appeal needs to state that there are municipal bylaws. I mean, they know there's municipal bylaws. So, but for us to look at every piece of what it is that they're asking is where my concern is. It's we wouldn't have supported it if it was going to be in accordance, not in accordance with our bylaws. So even.
So in other words, those things are in place at this point, and if they make an appeal, they can address those things saying that these bylaws are there. I think for us to start looking at each aspect of things, saying we will do this or we will do that, our bylaws are in place to deal with these situations, and I would suggest that we would be leaving it at that.
But we could certainly, as a staff, give another letter
Okay.
that says that, just to reiterate, council supported this application and continues to support the application. Council doesn't need to do a resolution to issue another letter.
Okay, so, pardon me? Yeah, Councillor Barker?
I see your point where you don't want to get into an argument and debate with them, but could our letter affirming or reaffirming and reiterating our support just have a very broad statement that it was made with our current bylaws in mind? Something like that, maybe?
I mean, I think we
Yeah.
could, staff could certainly word something that's just a general statement
Yeah.
that in the consideration of support of anything like this, bylaws and other
We're considered.
legislation are considered.
I think it also can be, sorry, Councillor Peak, I'll get to you in just a minute. I think the issue too is if we're going to do this, then it has to be a generalized statement as it's just suggested. Otherwise, we'll find we're getting into this on a number of occasions of things that come forward, and there'll be all kinds of aspects to things that we'll be dealing with that we really shouldn't be dealing with. The bylaws are in place. They can be applied whereas and as needed. But as the CEO said, I think we can, in a general terms, provide a letter, which would mean a different resolution that we have in front of us.
Also, typically we deal directly with the ALC, so they were required to do the referral, and they require it. If they want more information, they would come and ask, but we don't normally
Offer.
We don't normally work with the applicant with ALC.
I see. Okay. So it's Councillor Barkle.
I can put a resolution on the table for that says that the council write a letter reaffirming their support for this application and noting that the support was given with consideration of local bylaws in mind. And is that
acceptable?
Well, we can second it.
Yeah. Seconder, please. Councillor Traynor, thank you. So we're in good shape. Any further discussion? Councillor Peak.
Question, who's this letter going to? Is it going to the applicant?
It's the applicant that's the
I-
applicant that's asking for
I
the
understand
letter.
that. Is this letter of reaffirmation that we support the application going to the applicant?
Very good question.
I would.
I'm, because I wasn't suggesting a council resolution for a letter. I was suggesting that we, as staff, just send ALC a letter or supply the applicant with a letter that shows that we supported it originally. My suggestion was not for council to pass a resolution again to do it, so I'm not sure you would need to discuss what your intent is.
So what's council's wish? Do you want to supply a letter or just go with the suggestion that staff can supply information? Councillor Carlson? Yeah, we have a motion to deal with, by the way. Councillor
Right.
Carlson?
I think you did mention this, and I think it's important that the ALC has made a decision, and I don't necessarily think that we should start fighting with them, but I do think that this isn't going to be the last time that we talk about hosting weddings on agricultural land, and that we should find out if changes are coming with that regard, and perhaps the applicants can find another way and bring forward some new information so that it can be more supported. Now that they've been through the process and they understand why it was stopped, perhaps there's a way that they can now work through that process again and find a way that they could move forward. And if not, then I guess it's not meant to be. But I do think that they're not the only people who are currently in this position, and like we all know, it's not up to us to decide what happens on farmland. It's up to the Land Commission.
And I would certainly encourage our staff to be in contact with the ALC to question that and make sure that we're fully informed. As Councilor Carlson said, it doesn't have to necessarily be in advocacy of this application, but in the general terms that this would probably come up.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I agree with the approach that the CIO says, that it's staff, that staff just contacts the ALC and says all the things that she said. And if we do pass a council motion, it could give the appearance that we're picking a fight. So.
Yeah, yeah. So that still leaves us with a motion on the table. We can, I guess the mover and seconder could withdraw if they feel so inclined. Pardon me?
There's a seconder.
Yeah, it was seconded, yeah. Councillor Booth.
We had a presentation by Mr. Leonard at the SILGA convention, and the discussion about the whole process came up. And I think you were at that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
And there is the opportunity, and it's part of the process, when ALC makes their ruling, there is an appeal process. So it's not like we are going against the process by supporting, if we decide to do that, by sending another letter saying that we support that. It's just part of the process. Now, if we had not pushed it through, as you know, there would not be an appeal process with the Agricultural Land Commission. It would be an appeal process through us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Councillor Peak and Councillor Holmes.
I would prefer to do away with the resolution and do a direction to staff.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I agree. We can still do a letter reaffirming it without without a motion, and I think that's probably the best way to go. So.
Thank you.
Sorry, could
So-
you say that again?
I think if we still do a letter reaffirming our support without a motion, then I think that'd be the better way to go.
Oh.
So it's up to the mover and seconder, I think, if you wish to withdraw your motion or not.
So
Pardon me?
If not, you just take a
If
vote.
not, then we would just take a vote on the motion.
I'm willing to withdraw the motion if the seconder is, and we'll go with a new motion to direct staff to write it. No.
We
Just
don't need a
direction.
motion.
We
We
don't
don't
need
need
a
a
direction.
But
It's
we
not
still
a
got to
motion.
give staff direction
Yeah,
in
but
some
we
way.
don't need a motion to do so.
Don't need a motion to that?
No. So what's your
Sure, I'll
decision?
withdraw the motion.
Councillor Booth? Was it, who seconded?
It was me.
No.
I'll
Councillor
withdraw.
Train, okay, thank you.
It's not, it's very unusual,
Just vote on
against,
the motion.
it's against procedure.
Mhm.
Once you have a
Withdraw.
first and a second,
Mhm.
then you would typically need to defeat the
Just
motion
vote
in
on
order
it.
to move
Yeah.
forward.
You can vote against your own motion.
Sure.
Let's be more
Okay,
typical
well,
then.
we don't, we want to adhere to
I think
process.
that was our intention. What we discussed afterwards was what Richard and I were supporting. We just didn't realize that we could do it without a motion.
Yeah.
Right.
So that we just didn't
Okay.
understand that,
Okay.
for clarification.
Well, as the CAO just said, as we managed to fumble our way through this.
Oh, we're all learning.
We,
Because we're a fumble.
we really should take the vote, and if we feel so, then we will just defeat the motion. So, all in favor?
But
of
But
the
that's
motion?
dangerous.
This is-
That's-
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
I think
this
that if
is-
that was the intent, then there was a misunderstanding, because I think what
Okay.
happened was
Right,
Councilor
okay.
Barkwell and Councilor Trainer misunderstood what I was saying.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I think we just need to back up, and the motion wasn't made.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we don't want the optics of having it defeated and look like we didn't support it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the English language.
So, we're moving forward to new business. Okay, moving forward to new business. Okay, bylaws. Corporate officer?
I think you have 13.1.
Oh, 13.1, that's correct, yes. Corporate officer?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Pardon?
13.1 is our financial.
Is
Oh, I'm
Financial
sorry,
plan.
yeah, sorry.
Financial statements.
Yeah, I just have to
Financial
jump,
statements, sorry.
just have to
Financial
jump
statements.
back to where it was actually stated.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. CFO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you tonight, Council, you have the unapproved financial statements, the unaudited financial statements before you for approval. And in my report, I've walked through some of the highlights. I'm going to review those in brief, and also always willing to take any questions about the financial statements from Council. So in highlights, I think I'll recast Council's memory back to the beginning of March when we had a report on the 2015 financial results that keyed in on the operations of the district for the year. And in that report, certain amounts of surplus were estimated, and there were a few items that had material differences from that report, and they're highlighted in the report you have before you tonight, and of course are part of the financial statements. So in the operations side of things, we had increases in operating surpluses in all of the funds but the sewer fund. The surplus there actually has decreased, and the main reason for that is the funding for the local service area, Juniper, Willow, Miltmore, Tate, that project down there. We don't have the borrowing completed yet. The residents have until the end of April to let the district know whether they are going to take advantage of the funding opportunity or whether they'll commute the payment and pay it out in full. So until that's finalized, we don't have the final numbers and aren't able to go to long-term borrowing. In the interim, we are going to do some temporary borrowing, but at the time of the financial statements, that wasn't completed. So the sewer fund, the surplus was reduced by about $190,000 because of that project. It will be returned to surplus in 2016 when that borrowing is completed. In the general fund, there were three main items in addition to that project that also had a roads component. So we have some pending litigation that we required at the end of the year to do an estimate of what the ultimate resolution of that item might be, and an additional $68,000 was accrued into the accounts of the general fund. In the environmental services, which is the solid waste area or the landfill operation, we did anticipate that area to be over budget. It did remain over budget, but there are numerous changes in presentation between our operating cash flow statements that we use for our budget presentations and that were the basis for that March 9th report. And they are reflected in the financial statements. And there are things like changes in including the elimination of internal charges, transfers to reserves are eliminated, we add in amortization, and when all of those things are put through the accounts, we end up in that line item being $110,000 and change over budget. So we were anticipating over budget. It really came in where we thought. It's just a difference in presentation that has a different number there. Also in reserves, we did put aside $74,000 in addition to the money we'd previously talked about to provide the 6-month overlap for when the Director of Development Services retires. So we are going to be having an additional staff person for 6 months. And again, there is a roads portion of that sewer project. The amount's $192,000. That's impacted the surplus in the general fund. So in the water fund, we are over budget on one item, $5,800. And we had anticipated to be under budget in that category, almost or just over $84,000. We did have operational increases, so additional costs that we hadn't anticipated at March 9th, but are in there in the financial statements before you tonight for $32,000. And again, all those differences in presentation make up that additional difference of $58,000. So there's lots of details, there's lots of differences between how we look at the accounts for budgeting and how we look at them in the year-end financial statements. And I'm certainly available to council to walk through them, but we aren't going to go through them in detail tonight. So that sort of covers off the operational statement. And then on the balance sheet, or the statement of financial position, which is the beginning of the financial statements, there's just a few key items that I wanted to bring to council's attention. So we have an increase in our portfolio investment from just $5,800,000 last year up to $10,900,000 this year. So that increase is additional funds that we have on hand that we move into investments to get a better return on them as our reserves are building and we have more cash in our accounts. We also, though, did have a drop down in our cash and equivalents of about $1 million, so it's just moving that money around. to get the best return on it. We're required to take the land held for resale at Wharton Street that's been showing in financial assets in past years of $1.2 million and move that down into the tangible capital asset category. The impact of that was a drawdown on our reserve accounts of an equivalent amount of $1.2 million. So that's a significant item in the financial statements that is different than past years. Landfill closure and post-closure liabilities. We had an increase in that area from 14 to 15 of 200, I can't do the math in my head tonight. Sorry about that. $120,000. So we should, as the volume is used up in our landfill, we have to accrue those costs. So it's based on the volume that the landfill can hold and how much has been used. There is a note in the statements that has all the details about how that's calculated and what the factors are. But I think for right now, I'll just leave it that it's based on the volume, and as the landfill is being used up, there's the need to provide more and more funding for the closure of it. Our long-term debt has decreased by $2 million, and our net spend on our capital assets, so the cash outlay in capital assets for 2015 was just over $1.5 million. We've already talked about the operations. The other statements that follow, there's one called changes in net debt and one called consolidated statement of cash flows, have details about the ins and outs of how the money moves through the balance sheet accounts. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. The notes to the financial statements discuss the significant accounting policies and also have sections in them about the changes that in policy or accounting policy that the district is going to have to comply with in future years. One of the big items for 2015 was the coming in of the standard to reflect a liability for contaminated sites in the financial statements. This is the first year of reporting under that standard, and our financial statements met the criteria as required for that standard. I'd also like to talk to council a little bit about the reserves. So we have had in our budget presentation information about reserves, and again here in the financial statements we have some summary information. So we have just under $6 million in reserve accounts. Our developer contributions are $3.6 million at the end of the year, and we have our statutory reserves that are covered by bylaws totaling just under $1.6 million. There's a list of those items in the report, and I would like to just again call attention to the capital reserve that's been established for asset management or infrastructure planning or replacement or investment, however we're going to refer to that money. It comes from the change in or the reduction in debt servicing costs in the year. So as our debt is lowering, any money that's freed up from those changes is put away into this reserve, as well as new revenue sources that council had identified be directed to this reserve, such as the lease for the gravel and any royalties that we would receive on the gravel. So we have almost $121,000 going into that reserve this year. Our debt per capita has dropped from $2,302 to $2,104. So that $2.3 million drop in the debt is working its way through as our debt is getting older, and we're moving those monies that we save into reserves. They'll serve us well for funding new capital projects. And I think that's all of the highlighted items that I wanted to speak to in the financial statements tonight. But again, I am certainly available for questions.
Any questions of our CFO, Councilor Carlson?
I hope this is an easy one. Wharton Street was many years ago, and it was valued at 1.2 at that time. Do we know if it still is valued there, or if it maybe is a more valuable asset to us now?
Well, the $1.2 million is the historical cost, so it's what we paid for that, what the district paid for that piece of property and the cost to tear the building down. We haven't had an appraisal done on it recently, so to speak to what the market today might be, we really don't have concrete information about that. BC Assessment does value district-owned properties, but because we're exempt from taxation, sometimes the information that comes for those properties doesn't get as much attention as other properties does. So I would say the answer tonight is that we don't have a definite number or an updated number.
And once council moves forward, as we get past a few more things that we're working on and looks to start a discussion of what we want to do, we certainly will give an appraisal for that.
Thanks.
So the downtown plan, is that, yeah.
Anybody else? Councillor Peak.
Just a question in terms of the movement of the Wharton Street property to tangible capital assets. Is that because it's under construction or development?
It's because it was held in an area that was allowed as long as it was being actively marketed and you had it was going to be sold in the foreseeable future. So the auditors said within 2 years you had to. So that item has been in that category for many, many years, and the sale has never come about. So they said their comments were that because we don't have an active plan for marketing it right now, we needed to move it. It also made sense to move it because then we could clear up the funding on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the go forward is starting from, where it would be with any other piece of property.
And that's the discussion that we had with
Absolutely.
council just prior to Christmas, where we had determined to change the reserve account.
I just better wanted to understand the classification in terms of this. Thank you very much.
So now it's no different than any other piece of property the district owns?
Excellent. Thank
Yeah,
you.
classified the same way.
Anybody else? Okay, would someone, Councillor, like to bring the motion forward, please? Councillor Peak.
The council approved the unaudited 2015 annual financial statements for the District of Summerland.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you. All in favor? Okay, the motion carries. And opposed, thank you very much. Thank you, CFO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are you available to sign those tomorrow?
You're nailing it down.
Okay. Of course.
He'll do it right now.
They're not ready for me. Okay, item number, where are we? Way at the bottom. Okay, we're at council reports.
14.1.
14.1?
Yeah,
Okay,
bylaws.
sorry. That's correct. Sorry. Okay, 14.1, Mr. Planner.
This is just the bylaw regarding the public hearing that we had earlier in the evening to add the subject property to the Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan.
Thank you. Any further questions? Would someone like to bring that forward? Councillor Peak, thank you.
That the motion will be bylaw number 2016-009, amendment of the official community plan, bylaw number 2014-002, 17013 Sanborn Street, be read a second and third time. I read the second part as well. And that bylaw number 2016-009, amendment of the official community plan, bylaw number 2014-002, 17013 Sanborn Street, be adopted.
Okay, seconder, please. Councillor Boot, thank you very much. Any further discussion? I think it's being pretty clear. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Okay, now, moving to council reports.
Financial.
Oh, financial. Sorry.
14.2.
Did we
Yeah,
do?
14.2.
And we did both? Sorry.
Yep, we did both.
Yep.
Yep, we did both. Okay, 14.2, financial plan. Counselor Carlson.
I will move that the financial plan 2016 to 2020, bylaw number 2016-10, be introduced and read a first and second time by title only, and secondly, that financial plan 2016-2020, bylaw number 2016-10 be read a third time.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Counselor Holmes, thank you very much. Any discussion? Counselor Holmes.
What does by title only mean?
That's how it's being introduced. We've just said, I don't actually know what the background is on that.
Okay,
Like the
Counselor
protocol.
Carlson.
Just a comment, there's the presentation here from the March 21st open house and all of the budgeting, all the workshops that were done. And I think that it's a good direction, and I hope that we can continue as we bring financial plans forward to have public input, and that people see that we're trying very hard and we have really strong people in our finance section. So hopefully people will look at this and see that we're going in the right direction.
Thank you, Counselor Carlson. As someone who's, had to try and understand financial plans in the past a number of times, I do appreciate staff's efforts this time round. I must say that, as Counselor Carlson just mentioned, that the presentation that was done on March 21st was excellent, and it was straightforward and allowed everybody to have a reasonable understanding of where the municipality is going. So thank you very much for that, staff. So we've got a mover and seconder. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. And opposed? Now I think we're in council reports. So, Counselor Trainer.
I'm continuing to work on Bike to Work Week, and you can now register. I can't remember if I said that last time. Something new to report is that on Wednesday, June 1st, which is the midway point of Bike to Work Week, we're going to be having a community ride where all of the councillors, district staff, and the community are invited to participate. We're going to leave the new library at 7:15. And we are going to do the 10-kilometer route that they run for Action Fest.
It's the 21st?
June 1st.
June 1st, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just kind of a way to raise awareness about Bike to Work Week and to have some fun. So it's a 10-kilometer ride around Giant's Head, leaving at 7:15 from the new library. I participated in a community cleanup last Sunday along Lakeshore and Peach Orchard as part of Earth Week. And I took some photos for the Earth Week team, and they were printed in the Summerland Review and in the Penticton Herald, so that was really good. And I also attended the breakfast with Minister Fassbender on Friday, and I went to the business walks. That's it.
Okay. Counselor Barkle.
This Bike to Work group ride, 7:15 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The sun's up.
Counselor Barkle.
I forgot to mention you can dress up. Costumes.
I'll be
for
wearing my
fun.
pajamas.
For your jammies, Counselor Barkle.
I attended the South Okanagan Local Government Association conference in Kelowna this week, or last week. I didn't manage to make some of the tours, which I was really hoping to, and I heard from other people were better than expected, very, very interesting. I did find that the speakers I did hear were quite interesting. It was interesting even on the slower things like passing resolutions to learn what issues other communities have in front of them. It was good talking to other councillors from other communities and asking questions, how they do things there and what the big issues for them are. And so that was most of my activities for the last week, and I'd just like to thank Mayor Waterman for his irrigation assistance. He's much more than just a mayor.
Okay, thank you. Not quite sure how to take that. Counselor Booth.
Just a couple of things to report that others haven't already reported. I attended the Chamber of Commerce Board meeting, a week ago Thursday. And Christine Petkow, the executive director there, asked if I would mention this evening, or just remind people, I think maybe most people know already that we and the Chamber of Commerce have joined with Penticton and Naramata to host the chain of, what's it called? Chain of events. It's a new initiative. It's a month-long bicycle festival in May, and it showcases the bike events and trails in our 3 communities. The initiative is being targeted at residents of Alberta and Lower Mainland. And we know that there's lots of people around here already looking at what we have to present here. The website is now live at okchainofevents.com, and then you can choose any of the 3 communities, and it'll take you right to their respective communities' website. So there's all kinds of stuff on there. It's an interesting event. Yeah, and I did attend a meeting as the deputy mayor, a meeting on Saturday morning with KVR, Kettle Valley Railway stakeholders. And that's pretty much all, other than what other people have already mentioned.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
It's been a really, really busy 2 weeks, and I've never had to irrigate in the beginning or the middle of April before, so we've spent many hours fixing hoses and being very thankful that we have such a great water source. And let's hope that it rains, because it's really dry out there. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Councillor Holmes.
On Saturday evening, I attended the performance of A Bench in the Sun, put on by the singers and players, and I see James in the audience, so I'd like to thank James for an amazing performance. It was such a great showcase of local talent, and so thanks for that. It was a great community asset. So on the top of culture, I think I touched on a lot on already what the task force has been working on, so we've been working hard on that. I'd also like to mention that our second refugee family is settling in. They've been here for 2 weeks now. The kids are in school, they're in soccer, they're starting swimming lessons, the parents are starting their English classes, and so the integration is well underway, which is very encouraging to see. They're a great family, and they'll be great for Summerland. The business, so I went on the Chamber Business Walk as well, as been mentioned. That was, again, like it was last fall, I think a fantastic event. It was really good talking to some of the business owners. I was quite encouraged. Hearing the messages that for most people thought business was up. So that was encouraging. There's still a lot of concern about downtown stores closing, and that's something we've talked a lot about on the Cultural Plan Task Force, and I'm sure you've talked about it on the Economic Task Force as well. So it's certainly out there. The businesses themselves are talking about it, and so it affects their own businesses. So I'm sure that's something we'll continue to hear and try to address. And finally, also attended the breakfast with Minister Fassbender. I was, not surprisingly, school closures were a pretty hot topic with him, and I was quite encouraged by some of the minister's remarks about the opportunities for shared services between municipalities and school boards. It's a lot of this, reiterating a lot of the same things that we've been talking about ourselves, where it doesn't really make much sense to mow a field, for the municipality mowing a field on one side of the street and the school board mowing a field on the other side of the street. So I was really encouraged by the minister's remarks about how that's something that's on their radar. And so.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you. I attended the spring celebration for the Artists of the Okanagan on Saturday, April 9th, and that was a nice opportunity to celebrate what they're doing there. I went to the AGM of the Trail of the Okanagan, and they have appointed new members to their board, and they may come in the more closer future to present the kind of work they've done over the past year, because they've worked very hard with their volunteer organization. They are also sponsoring on May 8th Tea at the Top, and this is a celebration of the Fur Brigade Trail. That's been posted around town, and they have it on their website as well, or on their Facebook page as well. I also attended the business walks, and it was interesting, the businesses this time, for the area that I covered with one of the directors from the chamber, the downtown revitalization was not mentioned in the same way it had in the previous business walks, which I found interesting. People were commenting they felt that there was work being done, so that's a difference from back in the fall when I did the business walks. But I certainly think they're extremely valuable. Worked with the Cultural Task Force. Both Doug and I have commented on that already. Attended the SILGA conference. I was very pleased at the comments made by the ministers in attendance, and some of those things I'll be following up with staff. There were some good points made. I thought the sessions were really good, and we all tried to sort of spread ourselves around, so we all got different information. That's useful as well. And I also attended the Mayor's Energy Leadership Workshop on Friday afternoon, stayed a little longer. And that was a very interesting discussion as well. And I forwarded some of the profiles of that particular discussion, background material to our CAO in case they might be of use to her. The Fiscal Policy Infrastructure Funding workshop was led by Christine Benty, and that was a very good discussion as well. We've had her in our workshop for strategic planning. So in all, we've all been very busy.
Thank you. Okay, we have an opportunity for the public to come forward and make comment. Anybody like to do so? Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for giving me a moment. I won't take much of your time. I could do this. This is not to ask for money from you. It's actually to thank you for money that you've already given us. And I could do that in 10 seconds, but I thought I would like to maybe 4 minutes of your time. Summerland Singers and Players Theatre Group is about 116 years old, 113 years old, I think. I've been involved in it 8 years now. That was when I first was introduced to this group, and it changed my life in a wonderful way. I had never had any experience prior, and I got involved in a show, and it's marvelous. So what I'm learning about this group, and the more I thought about what I wanted to say today, I was realizing it's very much like a group like this, in a sense. We have a board of directors, we have money issues, we have people issues, it's all about the community, it's even entertainment. But when I thought about councils like this, you people are making decisions, like across the country, literally, are making decisions all the time about where money goes and requests for money. And so with our theater group in the 8 years that I've been involved, we've actually unfortunately had to move a number of times. Each time we've moved to our new location, it's often been a church where we pay a fee and whatnot for that. And we have our rehearsals there, we store all of our gear there. Anyways, we ended up having to put everything in a storage locker about a year and a half ago. And our funds, we're very bare bones on our funds. Non-profit, of course, and so we couldn't even afford the storage locker anymore, and it really wasn't an opportune place to store your gear for theater. It's just difficult to get in there. So we actually distributed it throughout all of our group and got rid of things we just couldn't hold on to anymore. So we are bare bones. When we have a show, we have a budget, of course, and if we come out with if we come out in the black at all, we're very happy. If we break even, that's fine too, because we still had fun. We didn't lose any money. So the last play that we just put on, it was a 4 performance show. That's usually what we do, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night with a Sunday matinee. And there were about 17 of us involved in it. And I was trying to come up with how many volunteer hours it took for us to put on this show. And that's, by the way, a really exciting part of this procedure is we may have this many people in our board, and someone will bring a script, and no one else may have heard of it. They just love the script. So now we all read it, and then we all love it. So then we say, let's do it. Well, when are we going to do it? And the whole process starts that way, but it's all about the people and the volunteers. Obviously, it's about money as well. We need that to put on these shows, but the amount of volunteer time, no one gets paid for this. Directors, stage managers, it's all volunteer. But you'll know why it's a passion. like what you people are doing. You have it's meaningful to you because of what you're doing here politically. And we feel that way about a show because we want to do the best we can with the resources that we have. And so I don't want to make this sound like a plea. It really is a thank you, because what your council did a number of months ago was voted to give us about $800 worth of time that funds that we would have had to have spent for rehearsal space. And that's literally how difficult it is sometimes. If we rehearse in someone's basement, if it's large enough, we will do that sort of thing. But we had this larger space in the basement of the old library, and it was excellent. I wished I had brought the program for the play. I thought...
I just took it into my house. I could have had it for the car.
Bob Reed is our president of our group, and he is 89 years old. He was going to come tonight, but he was exhausted after the run of the show, so he was going to bring the program. But in it, they thanked the council. I'm glad that our director thanked the council for your support. And that's all I wanted to say, is the cultural task force that's, we're obviously part of that group, and for you people to support the arts. There's a very positive buzz about what's coming out from this council about your support towards it. So I'm just one of those performing arts people that are very thankful that you guys are helping us. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, James.
Anybody else like to come forward? Hearing none, seeing none. Any media like to ask a question or comment? Yes, Susan.
I have a question with regard to the appointment of Mr. Muirhead as the approving officer on Fudge Street project. What's the conflict, the perceived conflict that necessitated this?
It was just prior work that the existing approving officer, which is Mr. McIntosh, and the applicant, they've had an application in the past with when Ian McIntosh wasn't the approving officer, but he was the planner working on the file. And he was working with another approving officer at the time, and then it was convoluted, so it's not the same person working on it. It'll just be a new person rather than the existing one.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And then I have a question with regard the gentleman who owns Summerland Motel. Is it Mr. Lacey or Lakey?
Lathy, L-A-T-H-E-Y.
Okay. All right. Is it correct? Is my understanding correct that he had 2 agricultural water meters on his property? Was that it?
He has 3 regular connections, 3 domestic connections, and he had what we call second service for the purpose of irrigation, 1 coming in.
Okay. And then that was, and it was destroyed during the sewer project.
The district took it out, yes.
And took it out by accident?
No.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Okay, but he hadn't been notified that it was...
That's right. There was there's some question on some internal communication. He hasn't used the service for 3 years prior.
Okay.
He hasn't been connected to the service. This would have been the 4th year.
Okay. Right, and then, and he applied to have that connection reinstalled, was that it? And
He
then it was
did
denied.
internal plumbing on his property to have it, that it would be able to be connected now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Like John, any comments? Okay, thank you very much. Motion for adjournment, please. Councillor Carlson. Councillor Boot, seconder, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.